Hey everyone, welcome back to Global Beats with Mr. Tolley. I'm real sorry it took me so long to get the second one out. I do a large cultural event every year at my school called Cultural Night, where every student performs different cultures in their grade bands. And yeah, I got to a couple weeks ago and realized how silly it was to start this whole thing in April when I knew this was coming up. Cultural Night takes a lot of time and effort. It goes for 2 hours, hundreds of people come. So that is my excuse for why it has taken me so long to do this second video. But we're here now, and we're going to do a song called Kettu, itki, poikiansa. Now, Kettu, itki, poikiansa is a Finnish folk song, and it features something known as the Balto-Finnic Kalevalaic meter. A Kalevala is a type of Balto-Finnic poem that uses 8 syllables per line and a very specific meter. It's used widely across the area of the Finland and the Carolinian people who kind of live in that region, and it's fascinating. I do recommend you look it up. I'm not going to take a lot of time in this video to talk about it because it's a lot, but it is worth knowing. So we are doing this song because my 4th graders are doing this song. They will perform this Thursday, May 28th, if you're watching this in the future, as a part of their Cultural Night event because they chose kind of Northern European cultures for what they wanted to do. This song really is this kind of example of this really traditional Finnic music, usually played on an instrument called a kantala. And yeah, so we're going to get into this. So Finland is a country located kind of in the Nordic, northeastern Europe between Sweden and Russia. In fact, there was a time where it was a part of both of those countries. Despite this location, it is not typically considered a Scandinavian country because it doesn't actually meet the requirements to be a Scandinavian country. It has a very distinct historical, linguistic, and cultural background that separates it from the other Scandinavian countries. So by definition, it is not a Scandinavian country. And the Finnish people themselves don't consider themselves to be Scandinavian. By and large, they consider themselves to be Nordic, which is that region. Because they are in the Nordic region, there are some shared aspects of culture, but it really kind of is mostly contained to a certain set of things. So for instance, in Finland, they highly praise modesty of your own self. Equality is extremely important. Getting out into nature, being a part of nature, and friendship are all extremely important to the Finnish society, as it is across all of the Nordic regions by and large. And friendships in Finland can take a long time to form, but once they do, they tend to be long-lasting relationships and friendships. The idea of nature plays into the life of a lot of Finnish people. A lot of Finnish people own condos in cities and then live or have cabins located outside the city, which they will go to for trips. There's a lot of hiking involved, a lot of outdoor sports, skiing, things like that, swimming, fishing, and everything. There's a love of sauna culture across all of Finland. It's so important that like apartment buildings have saunas in them. Some businesses have saunas in them. You have breaks throughout the day where people will go to saunas as a part of what they do. Also on top of that is the Kalevala or coffee culture of Finland. There is a lot of coffee that is consumed. Coffee shops are very important. There is a good deal of coffee that is drank in Finland, which is something I've learned from a couple of people I know. There is a high priority on education, leading to one of the most respected education systems in the world, and a large priority for social welfare and the social safety net. You see that play out in a guaranteed kind of sustained high quality of life for citizens, which has led to Finland being the winner or being awarded the happiest nation in the world multiple consecutive times since 2018, according to the World Happiness Report. Students in Finland, they tend to attend shorter school hours. The teachers come for the amount of time that we work for in the US, but students leave a couple hours early, which leaves teachers with time to collaborate and prep and all the other things that they need to do as a part of their job. So they're not taking that work home. The arts are a subject that are held throughout the day, but a lot of students will go to these kind of intensive arts and sports and other activities after school through clubs and municipal schools. These tend to be provided for primarily through the government. There are childcare options for families since kids are leaving before the end of a typical work day. And there are, varying levels of abilities and things that you can get from these. And so you can pay for private options, but there are options that are provided free. The language of Finnish, or Suomi as it is called, is a very complex language to learn. It is exceedingly different than most of the languages across Europe because it falls not into the Indo-European language family, but it actually falls into something called the Uralic Finnic language family. It is effectively what's known as mutually unintelligible for most European languages. That means languages that are mutually unintelligible are languages that, even though they are in a region near to each other, a person cannot speak that language and be understood from another person in that region. Melanesian languages are mutually unintelligible, for instance. So a person from Papua New Guinea speaking one of their languages will not necessarily be understood by a person from the Solomon Islands, even though they are all Melanesian and they all have this shared historic root. There are some languages that are similar to Finnish, including Estonian and Carolinian, but by and large, the languages primarily spoken in Europe are Indo-European or Romantic-based languages, which are a version of Indo-European. So that means that this is a hard one to teach kids. There are a lot of sounds that they're not going to be used to. There's something called vowel harmony where different vowels have to match and they have to be the same vowel across the whole thing. There are a lot of repeated sounds. So you'll see a lot of doubled letters, which have to be spoken in certain ways. In general, I'm not trying to scare you off of this. I'm just saying the best way to teach this is probably through a lot of rote, through written out sound instead of showing them. I mean, show them the language as it is written, but provide them with sound sheets so they can sound out the different, instead of having to read the word, they're reading the sounds that the word produces. Something I can provide for you, and I will if you're a member of my Patreon. Don't forget to jump over there and subscribe. It would be very good to utilize a lot of listening. So let the kids listen to Finnish speakers. Let them hear this song sung by multiple different Finnish performers. Okay, so let's get into the song. The song itself is a folk song. It works on the themes of anthropomorphized animals, sort of in the same vein as the fox from England and Appalachia. So there is an animal that is being anthropomorphized to convey a message or to tell a story. In this case, it focuses on a fox mother who is searching for her children. In fact, Kettu, itki, poikiansa means the fox cried for her children. It is definitely a more bleak folk song and a little bit difficult to translate. And I'll get into that in a second. But what I'd like to do first is I'd like to sing the song for you. So you can hear what it sounds like. You can see how the patterns work. And then we'll go over it together. The version I am singing, I learned from the linked video down below. That's how I got the sounds and the melody for it. And then I kind of arranged chords and things like that along the way that I wanted to perform them. So here is Kettu itki poikiansa. Kettu itki poikiansa, kivan pala kukulansa, kahen kaupungin välillä, kahen kirkon kuluvilla. poikani menisi, pitkahanat pipotaisi, noile viraile pihoile, kaupukien kartta noile. Siellä nuoli no pajaisi, Tina pali paiskoaisi, siellä sorma soi pitaisi, kova kuolo kotajaisi. So, there's the song. It's very beautiful. You heard in the language, it is a very complicated language. Lots of sounds that are not standard in English. But let's go ahead and let's go over the meaning of this song. So I said that this song is a little bit difficult to translate. And that's because it uses a lot of kind of archaic language and poetic language. And when you try to translate it directly, you lose a lot of the meter, the cultural depth, the formula of the song itself. Because a emotional and poetic structure is taken into consideration in this type of song over necessarily full cohesion of lyrics. That's not the right way to say it. I'm struggling to think of how to say it, but they will choose words and they will choose poetic language in a way that emphasizes the emotion that they're going for, and they'll use imagery that emphasizes the emotion and the purpose of the song over kind of a direct translation of the song. Also, it's an old song. It's been around for a long time, and there are lots of different versions of translation. So what I did was I kind of went through and translated as I could, and found out that really verse 1 is pretty easy to translate into English. It does translate well. A lot of the rest of it doesn't. So I'm going to go over what verse 1 says, and I'm going to kind of tell you what the rest is about. So to help you hear it again, I'm going to speak the words in Finnish, and then I will give you the translation or the emotional purpose of it that I was going for, or that I discovered from it. So, Kettu itki poikiansa, kivan palla kukulansa, kahen kaupunien vailila, kahen kirkun kuluvila. So if you hear the word, by the way, kaupunien or kaupuni or kaupunkin, that is the word for city. So you can hear that a lot throughout here because effectively that first verse says that a mother fox is sitting in between a city and a church, and she is crying for her children. That's really the primary part of that verse, is that she's sitting there between these two places, and she is calling for her children who are not answering her. So that takes us into verse 2. So, Kune poika ni me nisi, pitkahanet pipotaisi, noile viraile pihoile, kaupunki and kartha noile. This doesn't translate extremely easily, but effectively it's the kind of inner thought process she's having about her children being in the city. She's worried that they have traveled into the city, into civilization, that they are in the courts of the courtyards of the houses, that they are in the city itself, which is, of course, extremely dangerous for a fox, particularly in a culture that does value hunting and does value this outdoor sport. All right, so verse 3. Siellä noli no pajaisi, tina pali paiskoaisi, siellä sarma soipitaisi, kova kuolo kotajaisi. There is where we get into very, very poetic and kind of flourishy languages. Tina Pali effectively translates to tin ball. And so it's hard to make translate into English, but effectively this is the mother worrying about her children dying. In fact, the phrase kova kuolo at the end literally translates to a hard death. So it's this mother worried that because they're within the city and within civilization, that they're probably going to be shot. That's a part of the culture of Finland. Hunting is very important. So we got to get down to the point of this song. The point of this song is really to teach a lesson and to explore the concept of respecting your elders, of being smart, of using self-preservation skills. So the foxes in this case, the children foxes, are not listening to their mother. They are not using good self-preservation skills. And the mother is worried that it's going to cause them harm. So the mother goes out to call for them, putting herself, remember, she's standing near these cities, near this church. So she is out in the open and she's calling for them, putting aside some of her own self-preservation to try and bring these children back home. So the song itself is very bleak and it's very dark, but it is a song of lesson. It teaches this idea, using the fox children, of listening to your elders, of respecting what you're being told. Also, these lyrics happen to make it an excellent candidate for a folk metal song. If you wanted to do a culturally responsive Northern European cultural song, taking a folk song and turning it into a heavy metal song is actually a really good way to do that. Heavy metal, particularly in some places death metal, is very popular across almost every age range, from children all the way up into older adults, into senior citizens. It is a very popular style of art and expression, and folk metal itself is one of the primary versions of that. Finnish folk metal is great. You should find it and listen to it. There's so much good Finnish folk metal out there. But you know that it's important to these cultures when you see things like a band, I can't remember their name off the top of my head, but they're a children's performing band that plays heavy metal children's songs and dresses up in rubber dinosaur suits. They're awesome, and everybody should find and listen to some of what they do. So, I chose this song, one, because of that. We actually did do that. My fourth graders wrote their own heavy metal version of this song, and I thought it was a good song for that. But I also picked it because it's a great song for elementary kids. It fits really nicely within a good vocal range for students. It allows you to teach several concepts, including irregular or changing meters. If you were tracking while I was singing, you might have noticed that that song is effectively in 5. But typically it's actually read as 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3. So it's kind of in 5, it's kind of in 3 plus 2, just really down to how you're feeling it. It's really easy to orchestrate and to arrange. Like I said, my students arranged this for heavy metal, and because it's a strange and irregular rhythm to what they're used to anyways, they were able to change it into another kind of compound meter, and they ended up going for a 12/8 feel on their version of this. Also, the chord progression itself is actually not an extremely complicated one, particularly not for ukulele or for auto harp. It could be easier than the version that I did. I just did the one that I liked. The version I came up with primarily centered on the D Aeolian mode, and it kind of borrowed from the harmonic minor periodically, but I used a D minor, a C, an A minor 7, a 7, or an A7, and a D minor. So yeah, that's the song. I really hope that you try this, and pay attention to the Patreon. I'll be putting out videos where I'll go through the chord progression with you and show you how I play it. I'll show you the strumming pattern. I'll do a really slowed down version of the words so that people can echo it back. We'll do like an echo version. I'll say the words, then you can echo them back. I'll do another version of the song as a sing-along, and I will at some point, hopefully soon, for my subscribers, I'll put out the heavy metal version of this that my students wrote. They're not going to be able to play it, unfortunately, so I'll have to do it, but you can hear the kind of cool thing that they did. Well, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that you do try this song. Until next time.